In the last video, we talked about forming good habits, and we talked about the loop of habit forming and how it can be, how it affects us being consistent, forming new habits, and being consistent with those. So what I want to talk about in this is the environment and how your environment can affect that loop and affect your consistency of the habit, and changing that environment can help you change into a new, better habit. We talked about environment a little bit in the last video. I just want to go a little more in depth. We talked about cues. We talked about how seeing something or having a routine or an action is triggered by something. And that trigger is what leads you into that routine or habit that you have formed. And we want to find ways to have that trigger or that cue and have it be a cue for a better, healthier habit. And a couple ways that I think you can do that is by substituting whatever that cue is with some other obstacle or some other object. And let's use an example of, say, every morning you get up and you eat breakfast, or every morning you get up and you read, or whatever your morning routine is. But you want to begin to exercise or take a walk in the morning. Well, you have some set structure of how your morning progresses. An example is at work, when I used to work in retail, I had a set routine that I did every day, and I would go in. There was a visual reminder that we had walkie-talkies that I needed to get, so I would get that each morning, which led me to the next step of my routine, to the next step, and each one was a reminder and a chain of events that led me through my daily habit that I had formed in my routine. So my first cue would have been that visual, that walkie-talkie cradle that we had set up that took me along that line. If you read the paper each morning, then you probably have a specific place that you've kept that from the day before. If you read a book, if you watch TV, you have a set place that you keep these items in order to make it easier for you to go through that habit loop. So we want to set those cues or triggers up with new items in order to start enforcing new habits. So what I would suggest, and this might be something that takes some time in order for you to get into, but the first thing you want to do is start trying to change that cue or that trigger. So, we talked in the last video about trying to find different things to replace, and that's one way to go about it, is if you can find ways to put other objects in that routine. Now, that's one thing. You keep the routine, you change the object. But when you're trying to find new routines to put in, and this is something different because we're trying to run, then we're going to have to put in a new cue. And in order to do that, rather than have the remote sitting out so we can watch TV, or the paper sitting out so that we can read, we would maybe sit out our running shoes and have them in a prominent place to trigger us that we're supposed to run. Now, initially, you might not be able to identify that with your outcome, your goal, and the reward that you want from it. So just having it there as a reminder is going to help, and it's going to give you that visual aid in triggering that. You might have to start with doing that consistently for, say, a week, where you just have the reminder there each day. So each day you would continue to watch your TV or drink your coffee and read your paper in the morning, read your book, whatever your normal routine is. You might continue that for the first week, but you just want to put this cue in place so that you are consistently reminded daily that shoes mean running. Shoes mean running. I need to run. I need to start running. And that cue's already been there. Once you get that down and you're consistently reminded of it, then you can start trying to move to the next step, which is, okay, now I actually need to start taking action, so that you can relate the seeing the shoes to the action, and then once you get consistent with the action, you'll get to the reward. So, that's the first thing, is making sure that we have the cues set up, making sure that we have the things in place. The second part would be making sure that we don't have distractions that are going to take us away from that cue once we start to put it into action. So we would minimize any distractions that might take us away from that. So we can keep up our morning routine, but we're slowly whittling it down to where all of the distractions that would keep us from taking the desired action that we want would be taken away. So that eventually we are seeing the cue, the distractions are gone, and we're automatically relating the cue to the action. So if you have any distractions, then make sure that you are taking those out of the way. Now if you have anything that you can add to the cue, so if we're talking about our shoes for running, maybe we could start adding positive distractions like a Fitbit, if you take that with you, or maybe headphones or something like that to get you in the habit of running. So you're giving yourself positive distractions to help reinforce the cue. And then the last part would be actually taking the actions needed from our cues and environment. So we've set it up to where our environment supports the new habit that we're trying to form, and our environment supports the routine that we want to put in place, so that we're moving from our cues to our distractions, and these are related to the event that we want to take place, and then we can move to the actual action. This could be something that you set up for going to the gym. So you want to set it up to where you have cues that you're going to the gym each day. It might be if it's after work, leaving your gym bag in the car. You would see that for the first few days. You would start to add more positive distractions, take out any negative distractions until you start making the action of going to the gym each day. Then once you do that, you've got the action, you're getting the reward from it. As long as you keep that cue, you keep putting your gym bag in there, you keep making sure that the distractions are limited, then you're going to continue to go through that loop and that chain in order to get your habit. So this is the second step. The second thing I wanted to talk about as far as habit forming is making sure that your environment supports that, and that everything in your environment relates to the new habit and the new routine that you're trying to form. If you have any questions, need any help, feel free to reach out. I'll help you any way that I can.